But you know what? The meeting doesn't officially start until you know what happens. Here we go. Careers. Come on in. Are you signed in? Are you signed in? It's kind of my shtick.
You get an exercise for the week.
That's true.
All right. So the numbers are all scattered. So what's the odds of us hitting on the number the first try?
I'm here, just do this.
You guys think you're cute in not going in order?
I went in order.
Some are rule follow. Number 9. No, blank. Does that mean I get it?
Yes.
Number 11.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what does Zoran get?
Yeah, I told you I'm here.
A backpack for when you go hiking.
Yes, that's
But
right.
wait, there's more. A Realty One Group notepad. I think there's a pen in there. And a rock title.
Oh, that's it. I need to.
And a rock title what?
Notepad.
Gotta say what it is. Those journals were hard to get.
Oh, journal.
Yeah.
Journal.
Little journal.
All right.
I need you later.
Write me a note out of that journal.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. John is not here for me to, so that you can take a picture. So I guess,
I can take pictures.
so check in on Facebook, take a selfie, take a picture, take a group picture, take whatever. Let's talk about some rev-ups. We put the rev-up calendars over here. But what's coming up is tomorrow is Finance and Sale Mortgage Basics. Jim is the instructor on that one. Then Monday evening, the residential listing agreement. Tim is the instructor on that one. And then next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, your favorite instructor will be the residential listing agreement. And then next Friday, a week from tomorrow, is finding motivated sellers and preparing to win the listing. These are classes not just for new ages, they're for all ages. I get, especially to my open house class, I get experienced agents, or if you haven't done a listing agreement in a while, they have changed, so come to the listing agreement class.
They're here.
They are right now, they are in Summerlin for this next 12 and on Zoom, and then they move over here. We keep moving back and forth. All right, we have no meeting next Thursday because we have our Cinco de Mayo celebration. And if you've been to, last year, it was the event of the year. We hold it out in, which direction am I? Out in the courtyard out there. We're gonna have a taco vendor there, courtesy of Rock Title. We might have some margarita mix and some tequila. Might. All right, we will. It's a lot of fun. So next Thursday, we're trying to get a head count. It's not like we're going to turn you away if you don't RSVP, but we're trying to get a head count for the taco lady.
Is this what we did last year?
Yes. same
That was
one.
so fun.
See?
So no meeting next week on the 5th?
No
just
work,
the,
just a party.
play, just play.
Okay.
Yep. And it is
So fun.
at noon. So we'll be out in the courtyard noon. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully the weather will be nice. I think it's supposed to be nice. So it's really the event of the year. All right. So one day is actually tomorrow. So we can always use a couple more volunteers. We are going down to the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth from like 2 to 5.
Can I bring my
And
brother?
you're what?
Can I bring my brother who's out of town, not a realtor?
How old?
48?
I think he's old enough.
I'm bringing Cole.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, just no little kids. Yeah.
He is not little.
But does he
He
act
might
like?
be a kid,
Does
so.
he act like one?
Sometimes.
Good, so do I.
But you know what? He actually worked in LA for the company that exclusively built housing for the homeless.
Oh.
So this is right up his alley.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got an email to meet here at 1:15, but I live closer to it. Could we just meet at the
You can meet there.
facility?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
It's up north, right?
Where is it?
No, it's by
It's,
Liberace's old
MLK.
house.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah.
By UNLV, by Liberace's old house.
MLK is not that.
Oh, I heard. What did that flyer say then?
It's not the
Oh,
same.
my.
It's not the same one?
That's on Tropicana. What are you talking about?
Isn't it on, something's on Rancho tomorrow, off of Rancho?
Oh
That's
my
not this
goodness,
one.
I was gonna go
It's
to
neither of
the
either.
Check the
main.
flyer, the flyers are up front. You don't have to do it right now.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so normally last Friday of every month, we do a happy hour, but because we're going to do the one day, we will not be doing happy hour tomorrow, but we will the last Friday of May, so stay tuned
Excuse
for
me, can
that.
we do that today?
What's that?
Happy Thursday today.
Okay, happy Thursday today.
It's Friday Eve.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
I only put one of the flyers in here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You want
Sure,
to
come
come
on.
up really quick?
Come on.
Okay. Come on, Eugenia. Hi, good morning, you guys.
Morning.
Okay, so a couple things really quick. I want to reintroduce again Eugenia. I am so happy to have her on our team. She's been doing amazing so far, and we really would like for you guys to give her a chance if you are in need. A lot of you already have your escrow officer at Rock, but if you are in need of bilingual,
I
or if you're
speak
working with a
Spanish,
Spanish
so
buyer.
if you need any help, that will be awesome. And if you give me a try, I'll be very, very happy.
So we're not looking for you to change, but if you are in need of that, and anybody that sees the recording, if you don't have a Rock escrow officer yet, please give Eugenia a try. I'm gonna leave some flyers of hers here, so you can grab them on your way out, or if you need this flyer, please email me. Let's see what else. She's in the Southwest office,
Yeah.
you have your cards
Yeah.
now, so that's great. Okay, so we'll leave those as well. Exciting news, who is a part of the Facebook closed group? Everybody raise your hand. Everybody, okay, so you saw my post. We have now rockuniversity.com. You will never miss any of our trainings. Every Monday and Thursday now, there is going to be a Zoom training on a specific topic. Mondays are actually dedicated specifically for Realty One Group. So this schedule here that you see posted, you will find on the rockuniversity.com website. And this is going to be for today, the one suite, so we're actually not today, I'm so sorry you guys, Monday, going too fast. May 2nd, next one that's coming up, is gonna be your one suite CRM overview plus the one app. Connecting them together, huge lead generator, okay? So Justin Taylor from Rock Title, he's out of Arizona, he is training on all of these. You go to our website to register, and you must register to get the access to the training, okay? It's only an hour, but it's a very valuable hour. If you have any questions about the Rock Thursdays or Mondays trainings, please let me know. You can reach out to me directly. Did you guys add my QR code to the?
No.
Where's Nicole? Okay, so there's not another slide with my new digital business card QR code? Okay.
Not yet.
We'll show you that in a
It's the
couple
old
weeks.
one.
Not yet.
So, any questions, anything?
So does, because I went over there, sorry, does that mean that the Thursdays after this are no longer and have been replaced with official trainings?
So, no, that's a great question. I will still be in here on Thursdays, and if I get enough people in here that wanna go over something different than what's being, placed onto the Zoom, cause I'll just play the Zoom, it just makes sense,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But if you guys wanna do anything else, just give me a heads up and we'll go over anything you guys want. Every Thursday after the sales meeting, I will always be here to do training. Okay, alright, thanks you
Awesome.
guys, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Alrighty, so,
It is MLK.
Yeah, it is, I'm okay, sorry.
is there any doubt in your guys' mind that I'm a great salesperson?
No,
Is this the big amount?
0.
So, not only did she say yes, but she said, I do. So, on Monday, on my birthday, we got married.
Oh, congratulations.
All right,
Very cool. You look like a happy
I
man.
am.
You look pregnant, you're glowing.
I say I've been fat like
fluffy,
it is.
it's fluffy.
All right, reminder, transaction desk is going away. However, remind may be going away for us as well. Because there is a possibility, and we're probably 90% there, that everything is going to go on the SkySlope. So all the documents will be in SkySlope, so you start and finish everything in SkySlope. So, like I say, we're close to making that happen.
I just got an email about Athenasign too, so that's not.
Yeah, that's through Remind, or I don't know where that's, I don't know, but yeah, I saw that.
Seems like there's a bunch of them to choose
Yeah,
from now.
so we'll only need to go in SkySlope. And
You'll have
like I
digital
said,
signing capability.
SkySlope has the digital signature capability, yes. Yep. So you'll never need to leave SkySlope from the beginning to the end. That's gonna be awesome. Not having to create over here in transaction desk, save it as a PDF, and then upload it into SkySlope.
Right.
You don't have to do that anymore, so that will be way cool. So I'm gonna keep reminding you about Remind, but we may be changing it up. All right, Shredathon, the LVR is having a Shredathon May 21st from 9 to 1:30. If you have boxes of old files that you need to get rid of, take them down to the LVR parking lot May 21st, 9 to 1:30. All right? What else we have? Stacia from Old Republic Home Protection, who brought us this wonderful breakfast this morning.
Thank you. I hope everybody's good this morning. I brought in a little flyer, and it's just to let you know that we have a few different levels of coverage that you might want to consider when doing your transaction as a gift to your buyers. And the biggest part of having a home warranty in place is that it does help mitigate your liability when you're going through a transaction. I just had two agents from another office, but a Realty One office, that are on the buyer and seller side, and the buyer was going to cancel the transaction because they're concerned with the R22 refrigerant in the AC, and that they don't want to have to replace their AC. And ultimately, R22 is still available. So it's not manufactured any longer, but we partner with a lot of vendors, and so if that's the repair that's needed, we don't have a cap on that with our two highest plans. And I think that that's important, so that you can keep know and call and ask me questions, so that you can keep your transactions on track. And then although the cards change every season, so that they are a little more customary to whatever the season might be, when your clients do close with an Old Republic Home Protection plan and they have service done at their home, we will provide you have to sign up for an agent toolbox. And at that time, though, anything that's attached to you, you will get either a digital card, or if you choose to have a hard card, it'll get mailed to you. And it'll notify you that your client, which gives their name and their address that I've blocked out just because, and have your name on it, and it'll let you know that they had service. It specifically states that it's been great to partner with you, and that this is a great time to contact your client and talk about referrals, or maybe it's, maybe they've been in their home for a while and they're ready to make a change and they want to sell or buy something else if they're an investor. And so we are always trying to put your name, or urge you to put yourself in front of your clients, present and past. When you go through with home warranties with Old Republic, your clients will get at their renewal, a renewal form that, although it has the Old Republic name on it and says that it's ready for renewal, it will come to them from you saying, hey, you've lived in your home a year, consider renewing, but it'll have, I appreciate renewals, that's how I grow my business, and it'll have your name and contact information. And it's just a couple extra touches that you get every year with the clients that you work so hard to with 18 offers before something was approved, accepted, and they paid 25,000 or 42,000 over asking price. It's something that, puts you back in front of them again and markets you at no additional cost. So, please consider Old Republic Home Protection or reaching out to me if you aren't working with someone that you like, trust, or appreciate in your business, that maybe we can partner and I can help you grow your business.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for breakfast.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. All right, what do we have next? Shawnee, what's going on in the mortgage world?
Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Okay, the rates, I know it's high.
Can you do something about those, please?
I wish I had the
Just like that.
magic power, but
Wave your magic wand.
I know, it will go up to 7% as you know,
my
it will. But, I know it's not for the regular people, but the program that we are offering right now, no asset, no ratios, no income, that program will benefit people with money, people with assets in the bank. So if you can reach out to your tax person, that's what I did for the past few months. I was reaching out to my tax person. He was telling me, Shani, this person is not showing income, but they have assets in the bank, they have enough money. So I was getting referrals from my accountant, for the possible buyers. So if you can reach out to your tax person and ask them, do you know anyone who would like to buy or sell the current property and make some money and buy a new house? So reach out to the tax person. This is just a tip that I wanted to share it with you so that you can get many leads, just talk to them, just find out from your buyers what you want to do. Do you want to upgrade? We have this program. So I have no ratio, no income, only 1 month bank statement. So if they can show money in the account, we can do the loan. Don't talk about rates because it's that's the ugly part is up to me, right? It's
So
just
when is it headed to 7, do you think, by when?
by August. Still,
By
I don't know.
August?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the crystal ball.
So I was at Richmond Homes,
Uh-huh.
looking at a new build up in Red Point yesterday for a client, and they said that their lender, I don't know,
Yeah,
Richmond
different-
Homes'
yes.
lender
Uh-huh.
is offering a 364-day lock.
So we do also offer lock and shop option.
Yeah.
If you have a pre-approval, solid pre-approval, that means we did our homework, right?
Right.
We can lock the rate for 45 days
Right.
and 90 days too,
So
okay?
they're saying they'll lock a rate in for 364 days because it's a new build.
But builders have, you know that,
Right.
builders will fight for them,
Yeah.
But other than that, who can't qualify with the builder, for the regular people, we do have that
Yeah.
option also,
Got it.
okay?
Got it.
So please reach out to me. I know I don't talk a lot, I don't do a lot of presentations, but I'm here all the time. If you want a one-on-one meeting with me, you can reach out to me, and I already know we have closed a few deals with the Realty One agents. I have closed a deal with Angel, and Angel can, if he had a good experience, he can share it with me, with you guys.
Is
Talk out there, Mark.
Is there a name to that program, the no asset, no ratio? Is there a name for that, like lock and shop? Is there a name to that?
It says no ratio, no income. So I will find out details, and I'm working on the flyer, so I can share it with you.
Just real quick, is it only bank statements or could it be investment portfolios?
We have that one too. We have there are different programs.
Okay,
So asset and bank statement program is different.
okay.
Okay, for that program, we need 12 months bank statements.
Okay.
So just have a one-on-one meeting with me. I'm here all the time. Take advantage. I know you have a lot of questions from your buyers, but please, Zoran, Macrina, I know they already reached out to me, and we already have a contract with Macrina. How many hours did it take to do the pre-approval? 4 hours, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will do, the best I can do for you guys because I'm here. I have the opportunity to be in this office to work with you guys. So take advantage.
And you're
She's a
awesome.
great resource, and
Yes.
she's
Thank
right
you.
here
Yeah.
almost every day, so, yep, use her.
Yeah, I have a listing that was just published last week, and
then somebody called me on my Facebook because I published it. So I sent her to Danny, in 3 hours, we have a contract.
Nice, nice, good. All right, we already heard from Felicia, we don't have stats today, so that brings up Dennis Whitaker. So I've known Dennis for, I don't know, it's over 20 years.
Oh my God,
20 plus years. He was my go-to home inspector back in the days. Now he doesn't do that anymore, and he's gonna teach you and tell you all about what he does do now, and he's gonna introduce his team. So, big warm welcome for Dennis Whitaker.
Oh, thank you. And congratulations to you and happy birthday too.
Thank you.
But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start off real quick about myself. Yes, I've been in this town, my name is Dennis Whitaker. I was a home inspector, a master home inspector. I sold my company and I'm doing this pretty much, well, but I let the other two over there do it full-time. So I've been in this town since 1971. So I was here when the MGM was being built, and I was there when it was, so it's one of my first jobs here. But there's only 300,000 people here at the time. So I got my own business going as a construction. I was lath and plastering, drywall contractor for years, for almost, well, 15, 20 years. But then I was a home inspector for almost 20 years. We've been doing mold testing for over 20 years. So it's a family-owned and family-operated business. So we're here to stay, and we're trying to educate you. I'm gonna introduce you to Lisa. She's being taken over. And if you wanna figure things out, she is my wife. But anyway, it's fair, keep your family owned.
You're a good salesperson too.
Well, you know what? I follow the best, right? Go ahead, I'm gonna introduce you to Lisa, and over there is Eva.
So, my name is Lisa. Obviously, Dennis has already done the preempt, but I've been doing mold and/or I've been with the business side of things for probably 7 or 8 years now. I am licensed as an asbestos consultant. I do mold technician and indoor air quality. Those are our focus. I'm gonna start the business. Can you just do the first slide so we can just tell you a little bit about what we do? When you are purchasing or in the sales business as you are with homes, we offer inspections. And I know a lot of people say, we already had our home inspection. I hear it all the time. Just the facts are that they are not always looking for the same things we are, which is water intrusion, water damage, the presence or the possibility of mold. We do offer infrared, we offer moisture meter evaluations to determine what's going on in any location. And just because it's dry doesn't mean that there's no mold. Sometimes when the water source is cut off, no more mold, except that then it comes to the surface or it gets wiped off, cover up, all those types of things happen. So as part of our business, we always ask for photos if you have a SRPD or the home inspection so that we can preview those areas that maybe we're, they sometimes they don't always give us the best pictures, but they help us in locations when they're actually writing them up. A prime example would be like infrared. They give us infrared pictures of a ceiling that maybe was repaired, but under the infrared it will look as if it's wet. So unless they're actually doing a moisture reading to back it up, that's not always a valid concern. So we have been on those types of calls. I am certified as an infrared technician as well. I do have a certification for level 1. I do use my infrared when I'm in the field, and I also validate it with a moisture reader for that very reason, because as a home inspector, Dennis saw this all the time. Missing insulation will create that disguise of, or the illusion that there is a problem going on. Sometimes I see people using infrareds and they're shining them right at underneath the sink when the water is running. That's not a good indication of what's transpiring or what's happening. So infrared is key. We do interpret the lab results. There are a lot of companies that send you the lab results as part of what they do, but that's it. There's no recommendation, there's no interpretation, there's no photos, there's no chain of custody. Those are all things that should be part of a mold inspection and or report. What else? We do make recommendations when there's obviously we've validated that there's mold or there's something going on that's a water problem. It calls for remediation. Remediation is something that we recommend IICRC. IICRC certifications are the standard in this industry when we talk about restoration and remediation. It just is, across the board, across all of the United States. That is the recommendation from your higher ups, if you will. So, because just keep in mind, in Nevada, there's no regulation when it comes to mold. It's not like asbestos, it's not regulated. So we do what we can based on other states' rules and guidelines. That's what we follow. You can talk about asbestos. Types of sampling that we provide are air sampling cassettes. Typically we do air quality. When and if we think there's been a problem and maybe they didn't do it correctly, maybe there was a whole flood, and after the fact, air quality is huge because mold is like a dandelion, if you will. Once they disturb it, it's gonna go airborne. So the idea behind remediation is full containment in order to localize it. But otherwise, we do air quality. We carry samples like this. They cover probably 800 to 1,000 square feet. So we are good based on square footage. Depending on what we're doing, we have to calculate that information if we're doing the whole home testing or we're just doing an isolated area. We do direct contact by way of a swab. We do in-wall cavity, meaning when there is damage to a wall and there's been a patch or repair, and we're not certain that the work was actually done. We just think that it was patched and repaired, right? Or patched and covered up is the deal. So, because I gotta tell you, in Las Vegas, we see a lot of patch and paint repair that it's not proper, if you will. So, in-wall cavity for those areas that are suspect when we're not sure that they actually did the repairs. And in order to not damage the whole wall, we stick a small tube in the wall and take an air sample of what's going on behind the wall. When we talk about saturation of drywall, baseboards, that kind of thing, water saturates. So behind the walls is what we're concerned about, but we don't want to open that because, again, the airborne thing. But in-wall cavity will tell us what's going on behind the wall, and you have to remember, behind the wall it's dark, it's cool, there's no airflow. That's where the mold is happening, even if it hasn't made it to the surface. The idea is that there's primer, there's paint, and then there's more paint depending on how old that home is, right? So that's, it doesn't always come to the surface. There are telltale signs, but that doesn't mean that there's not mold going on behind the scenes. And again, double what we see. It's almost like, what do you call it, tip of the iceberg, right? What we see here could be this big in the back. So that's why we do in-wall cavity to verify that. We also do carpet vacuuming and a cassette that we'll send to the lab. Furniture and clothing sometimes is an issue if there has been toxic mold released into the air. Mold has two different types that we typically deal with. Is allergenic and it is toxic. When the toxic mold happens in the air, it's more gelatinous, if you will. It will stick to your hard surfaces and embed itself in the carpet. So then when there's traffic on the carpet, everything's being airlized. If you have kids, they're on the floor, animals that are affected. So those are things that we keep in mind when we're doing our inspection and or making recommendations. We also do culture by way of bacteria or for the purpose of bacteria and or mold. If there's something going on, people have toilets overflow all the time, things happen. We have, sometimes it sits, that's also an indication of wanting to culture and do like bacteria or further mold testing. So those are just recommendations that we make when we're out in the field and we know we're doing types of sampling or inspection with sampling. Okay, so as part, I know a lot of people say inspections, home inspections, they're just not looking for the same thing. Water intrusion, water damage. If it's not obvious, same thing with appraisers. They're not looking for that detailed information. They're not looking for water staining. They're not looking for obvious, I mean, there are some things they point out, I will give you that. It's just that they're not looking for as far as mold. There are some inspectors that are really good at seeing that kind of thing and knowing the background, and they will make those recommendations. I've seen them in home inspections, so I do know that they do. But the majority of home inspectors are not looking for that type of thing. This is just a kind of an idea of something that got missed along the way from a home inspector. Saturation or water damage from the toilet valve, and then just saturation. So it always happens. The problem is it hides behind the baseboards. This is actually an adjoining room. This isn't the location where the water was, but water seeps and it saturates and it flows. It finds its lowest point and it will travel. So sometimes when you see something like this, it's not there, it's like this, and or into the adjoining rooms.
So if I may, this was actually behind behind a nightstand and underneath the bed, so it.
In the
extends.
joining room.
So we not only look at just one spot, we look at the other side.
You gotta follow the source, yeah.
Exactly, so we're looking at it as a 3D point of view to make sure that we catch everything.
Okay, so, anytime there's water, and then here's the other thing, the SRPDs are not always tell-telling. They don't tell you everything, and people lie. So, so, and then this is my point, is because I have been too many times on the backside of it. They chose not to do a mold inspection, or they chose not to investigate further, but then when they got in the home, they wanna remodel. So now they're already moved in, and they are pulling that vanity out of the bathroom. The whole wall and then beyond is full of mold. You can't see that because it's either been painted or it's been covered up, or they did something to not disclose that. The same thing with the vanities. Sometimes when those vanities are swaying, or you see, we are specifically looking for that type of thing. Saturation levels. If it was flooded or there was a leak, like I said, all of those materials that we talk about, baseboards, drywall, vanity materials, all of those are pressed wood. Nothing is hardly ever real anymore, with the exception of if you're gonna pay high dollar and you're gonna have the same kind of issues. But the reality is, any of those cellulose type materials are going to saturate when there's extensive water damage, and they're gonna saturate. And we can see the saturation levels. We have plenty of pictures that show you saturation. Just because it's not on the front side doesn't mean it's not there. It's usually happening behind the scenes. And then always think about your vanities have a 2-inch toe cake, whether it be in the kitchen or in the bathroom. So what happens is that becomes just a little hot box. It saturates on both sides and up from the bottom, the base down, and then the back walls are usually affected. So again, saturation, and then the right conditions, and those, again, toe kicks block that in. There's gonna be, like I said, a hot box effect, if you will, with that water and the materials that we're talking about. These are just typical types of mold that we, actually I'm gonna take a break and let Eva talk about a little bit of the mold and mold conditions that we deal with and how that goes. You wanna take a minute?
Sure.
I'm gonna take a break.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eva Naj. I've been with the company for about 9 months now. It is not my first area of knowledge or field of career. I was and I am still licensed as a pharmacy technician. I was practicing for 10.5 years. I'm a certified immunizer. I'm also a senior technician and also nationally certified. So, and I'm also licensed in California and Nevada, and currently still hold the licensing. So I do have that small bit of medical background. So when moving into this field, it was a good side, a different side, because I've had patients in the past who have had conditions, ongoing diseases that were directly affected by mold. So this is what we do. We educate and then also be partially an advocate for health, to inform and let everyone know what we're looking for and why we do this. And so the mold and fungi, we have ascospores, Eucladium, Aspergillus penicillium, Basidiospores, and Patiosporum. These are the most common types of mold that we'll come into contact with. These ones have the capability of transforming, synthesizing into the toxic mold. And toxic mold is classified as mold that produces mycotoxins. Mycotoxins is what actually will affect your health directly in a negative way. So, and multiple different reactions can happen, mild, moderate, and severe reactions. Not everyone is reactive, that's one big thing. Someone can have more of a reaction like flu-like symptoms. So that's one major thing. So someone could be experiencing those symptoms, and then someone in the dwelling could not, or may not. So again, Chitomium, Stachybotrys, these are the most common toxic molds that we do see in a home. Long-term water damage, and quite what you would classify as black mold. So, but it's not always just black mold. It can be Chitomium and Stachybotrys. I'd like to
Different colors
also,
of mold.
yes.
It's
I'd
not
like-
wallpaper.
I'd like to also just let you know, that it is transportable. Like how Lisa said, it can stick to your clothes, you can take it to your new home if you're moving, if it's on your furniture, any kind of cellulose material. And on your shoes, it'll stick to your shoes and you can take it into different areas. That's why when you come from the outside to in, that you may be carrying some mold spores, like the allergenic molds that we went over at the top here. But these toxic molds are due to long-term water damage, long-term moisture. So again, just like how Lisa was saying, needs moisture, needs humidity. So one of the major things that people like to think that mold cannot exist in Las Vegas because we are a dry state. That's not the case because we have our own environment inside. So, and most of the time in Las Vegas, most people don't always ventilate their home, have the doors and windows open. So what that creates is its own environment, own humidity. So, and that humidity gives an opportunity for the correct environment for mold to grow, and then also having water damage, water events. So, let me see here, interior dwellings, here with the moisture that could be introduced, it can come from the HVAC system, it could be from the condensation lines, indoor air filters, plants, humidifiers, and the improper ventilation. Again, we don't open up our windows and doors, we don't always have the ventilator going in the bathroom. Swamp coolers, and grow houses even. So like commercial grow houses, if you deal with any kind of commercial properties as well. So that's something to know what kind of business was beforehand when someone is trying to buy a commercial property.
Hang on one second, I'm talking about grow houses. Dennis has experienced a grow house in a rental property
Yes.
where one of those rooms had been converted. So
Yes.
just because, see, some people are in those homes and it's from that prior humidity and or levels, so it's either in like the carpet padding or in the walls and south. So those are things that happen in residential as well as commercial.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, what you wanna see on these grow houses or any, if you go into a house, they got one wall completely painted, that's the only wall in the house, and if there's a bathroom on the other side, something's going on.
If what? Say that again?
If one wall is painted in a bedroom, and the adjacent wall is a bathroom, there's something happening on that one wall. We take we look very closely at that.
So in addition to saying you can't smoke weed in my rental, I need to put in the
Not
contract you can't grow?
necessarily, you can't grow.
It's a huge
No, I'm
deal, that
serious.
happened.
Yeah.
I don't have that in the contract, the rental contract. It says
Before
you
it
can't
became
smoke.
legalized, there was a lot of grow houses, it happened more
Yes.
than once or twice, so yes. But now it's not so much because it's available, you know, people
But
don't
will
have
it
to.
always create mold in a residential?
Well,
Just
it
the moisture
depends on how
does.
they did their thing, it's the moisture thing, it's the
Yes.
lighting, it's that humidifying atmosphere that they create for the
The drip
plants.
system, the lights, you know, it just creates the correct.
And not only that, when you have that much water going in those plants, if there's a leak and they're not finding that right away or find it later, then, you know, it's not something they may know about right now.
But it's a good thing to have in your contract, given that you're so.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
suspect about your,
Yes.
yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, most common locations when there's a water event that we look at, may happen is the kitchen, under the sink, the refrigerator wall, so where the water line is, and around the dishwasher. So if someone has a flooding or, the overflow of the dishwasher, or that overflow spout from the sink is not working properly, the water's gonna go somewhere. And it could affect the cabinetry and behind the dishwasher. So we also try our best to look behind there without removing the dishwasher, cause it can happen and it will
So,
grow.
Dennis,
This is happening to a house, all these pictures are right here in Las Vegas. That one especially, all that wallpaper, it looked like wallpaper, this is here in Las Vegas, I took pictures of it. This one here too.
Even though it's
This-
120 degrees here, that still happens.
Mold can grow at 120 degrees.
yeah.
Even though it's hot,
It's
it's
a
still.
heat house, oh yeah, they love it.
So in that case, you have to rip out all the drywall and put in new
Well, there's
drywall?
another story behind that too, yeah. But we're gonna get to that here in a second
yeah,
too.
we're gonna show you.
This is a house here that hot water tank leaked.
Oh.
And it came inside. Now this here is under the kitchen sink, under the kitchen. It came through.
from, yeah,
And
adjoining
the
walls,
people
so
have
when you
already
think about what's on
moved
the other
in.
side of the wall, we've had water spigots be an issue, like in a kitchen where their corner cabinets were affected, but nobody saw that. So again, water, your exterior walls sometimes, or an adjoining bathroom, or like he's saying, a water heater. Water heater's always back, almost always back to an interior wall, whether it be a bedroom or some other location in the home. So, in fact, we have a picture to show you that I did, the garage, water heater had leaked. The whole garage wall is painted in the garage, so it looks good. Brand new water heater, everybody's happy. Interior of that is the master bedroom. So the master bedroom took on the water, and this is the closet. And so when the homeowner, this just happened, the homeowner bought the home, he bought the home, and before they moved in, they said, we're gonna put new floors, we don't like those baseboards. And so this was all found after the fact, but this is not the only area of the home. So now you're dealing with 2 areas of remediation. This is why I have issues when we're not doing a proper inspection and or we're not looking for those water areas or suspicious areas. Like I said, the whole garage was painted brand new. Nobody
So
saw.
was it on their SRPD that said
No.
you recently
No.
replaced the water tank? No, they just fixed it and didn't say anything.
Right, and it was all painted, so like I said, everybody's happy because, they got it replaced, no big deal. They didn't realize that was all
What I'm
fresh
asking
paint.
is, did they tell them they had recently replaced the water heater or no?
Half of them don't.
Well, even if it was, they're happy that they got a new water heater, right? So as long as it looks good, everybody's happy. The idea is
So
that
we
some
as
of
an
the-
agent need to ask more questions.
Right, well, that, and then, like I said, it's all painted, so that would've, for me, it was my first clue, right?
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So they had the water heater issue. It was probably a continual water leak. They fixed it, so now the water source is no longer coming.
Correct.
Does the mold continue to grow even though there's no water source anymore?
It will continue to grow and surface, because now the food source is cut off. But so in the garage, it's always gonna be more raw, because again, even closets, they don't put 2 and 3 coats. How many times have you painted your closet, right? So a lot of times, and under the stairwell, I did one not too long ago where the water was from a refrigerator line. That's another picture we have to show you. But in the meantime, this happened, the only reason they know is because they pulled the baseboards out. And then knowing that the
So-
only water source is the
So
water
that's
heater.
still growing, that's still
Right.
live, that's still active?
Just because your water source is cut off, mold only goes dormant, it doesn't go away.
Okay.
And then think about, the other thing I want you to think about is the material of that has saturated. Even though we're only seeing that 2 inch behind the baseboard, it's gonna be like a 1 foot cut all the way across until they follow, the remediation's job is to follow the path of the water destruction and remove any of those damaged materials that are affected and can still grow mold. Even when they get to the studs, there's a whole process of sanding, antimicrobial, and then there's the whole HEPA vac, and they set their air scrubbers, so there's a whole process to remediation.
Does bleach kill
No.
mold?
We're definitely gonna be doing.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too, cause there's a lot of myths and there's a lot of things. It's just like when people wipe it down, wet wipe, and then they let it dry and then they paint it. It's not gonna be something that's so visual, but it will be still going on behind the walls and behind the baseboards. That's why typically when we do a swab type of thing, we'll pull the baseboards, stick our swab in there. We don't wanna disturb it, but we need to get a sample of what's actually going on.
Got a can you back it up to the water heater? What's wrong with it?
No.
What's wrong with this picture here?
Then you
By
can-
realtors, what's wrong with that picture, that water heater?
Missing
Huh?
a strap.
The discharge line, there isn't. We see this, even home inspectors, we see this all the time. So when that goes, that water heater, it's gonna go right back down there and present that again.
Well, and you have to think 40, 50 gallons of water in the tank, where is
And
it going?
continuous, if you don't shut your water off, you're gone a weekend, it's not only 40 or 50 gallons.
Where's the, what'd you say, water discharge?
Right here, this is a water pan.
Yes.
And this here, there's supposed to be a little pipe going down and coming on down,
To where?
down to the floor.
To take it away from the
So
materials.
so it goes down
To the
because
garage floor.
there's a
Garage
natural grade on the
Right,
garage
3%
floor, so
slope.
it's
The
supposed
slope
to go
away.
down.
Yeah, 3% slope on the garage door, so I've been in
I don't have
houses,
my house.
pardon?
I don't have a discharge.
You,
Water on
we
my
highly
house.
recommend it. New homes don't even have this half the time.
Oh.
They don't even have pans.
They don't, yeah, I was told that if it's in the garage, you don't need a pan. But-
Exactly, but if it's against the firewall, adjoining to the house, the living area, you should have one because 9 times out of 10, when does it leak? When you're out of town.
But a pan doesn't do any good at 40 gallons of water.
It does,
flying
and we'll
out.
sit there and move it down to the concrete.
Yeah.
If
And
there's a
it's
pipe.
3% smoke, it'll smoke towards the outside.
That's why that's meant to be that way.
Yeah.
Just like when we talk about showers, custom homes, showers, benches need to slope, your windows
Yeah.
need to slope, they need to let that water drain, it's the same principle with
You
the.
are giving me
water
so
heater.
much more work to do.
Well,
Just
just
to think
educate.
about, I mean, these are just things we want you to think about
Yeah.
when you're walking that property, because unfortunately, like I said, once they close escrow and they now own the home,
So every
who's
time
gonna
I
cover
walk-
that?
Every time I walk into my house, I'm gonna look at that.
Oh,
until
that?
I fix it.
Let
So-
the inspection report, speak for itself, and then you can make recommendations.
Did the inspector on that case notice anything?
And none of this got written up. This was found by the homeowner after he purchased and was getting ready to move in. And here's the thing, like, we provide that third-party validation. Like, some of that mold was, that was tested, and some molds, when they reach a certain stage, they are determined and/or represented as a long-term water problem, because it takes that long for the mold to saturate and create that kind of environment and activity, if you will. So yes, sometimes we see it different colors, and that we come up with different readings for the samples, but even what's on the surface is not what's behind the wall or between the walls is the concern, is that's why all of that needs to get removed.
What was that
properly.
thing called? What comes out of the,
Huh?
what's that thing called?
Oh, it's
Drain
PVC
pipe.
pipe,
It's
discharge.
what's it called?
Discharge.
Discharge
Like a
pipe.
release
Pipe.
It's just a PVC pipe. Yeah.
To you.
And this other one over here, the one she just tucked under,
Big problem.
is this one. I'm gonna be talking about this one here. This is right here in town. Right here in town, mushrooms. You know what's on the adjacent side? A master bathroom. What we found, a master bathroom, you know, the,
Shower pan.
shower pan, thank you, cracked. So it was feed into the master closet.
Oh, and they would never know that.
They had clothes, they had baggage, they had everything there, never even saw it until they moved out. So, just to let you know, there are some things that you missed, and that's what we're.
Maybe they were growing those to smoke them.
Or what it's at.
Alright, let's see what else we got.
That's why it's important not to.
Oh, go back to
overrate the
condos for a minute, the
inspection.
condo. So I can talk about my pictures. So anybody, purchasing condos, we always know that most of them are stacked, meaning water heater, above water heater, above water heater, shower, all of these things happen in condos. Patch and repairs are questionable at times because of the different levels and whoever's in charge of it. But this is typical in the sense that water heaters are outside, even because it becomes, again, a little hot box. But anytime you have condos that have water coming, that are stacked like that, you're gonna have some different types of issues with those properties. But that's just an example of the water heater closet that had leaked from up above, and now you've got it in your downstairs.
I showed one, 2 different levels, you know, ownership was 2 different levels. In the garage, there was just all this black on the ceiling, and it was because of the unit up above.
Right.
You just have to be aware.
It's problematic, we see that all the time. And then, of course, having proper remediation done is always a key to a lot of what goes on. What else do we have?
We have a couple more slides with verbiage on
We got that done.
it. Oh, this
Yeah,
one.
so this is one that Eva did the inspection on. I'm gonna step back.
Okay. So what we have here is patio doors. As you can see, the patio doors at the base had swelling of the baseboards as well as the door frames. And you could tell by the carpet cracking, and you could see that when you pulled it just slightly, all of the carpet fibers were pulling off. So that gave us indication that we need to see what's going on underneath. So we saw all of this here, the black, which ended up being, I believe, stachy. You remember me? I believe it was stachy botrys that came up, which is the toxic species. And as you can see, this was not the first time that this happened. It's an ongoing issue. Why I say that is because there's 2 different tack strips here. So this carpet has been changed multiple times, as well as the deterioration on the padding here, and then the mold growing on the actual carpet. So it's ongoing, long-term, and multiple times changed. So this was not the first time. This was a tenant who called us over because they were having, allergic reactions. So, flu-like symptoms, and they wanted to know if they were having a mold issue. So, and this was partial validation. They also had a shower that had tiles, pushing off the actual wall because there was growth behind it as well.
What
So-
was the source of that? How did you figure out that it was
So going back to the patio doors, unfortunately, patio doors are not waterproof. They are not, and they're not effective to keep water out. So when we have those driving rains, those once in a while rains, it's a lot of water coming at it. As well as if we don't have, proper runoff from the roof, and, that we don't have eaves or gutters, to divert the water away from the door. And then you also have
Yeah, balconies on the tour.
balconies as well.
if they're not sold?
So this,
This is what we're looking at.
yeah, this is what we're looking for.
Saturation.
Exactly, right over here, just like how Lisa's saying, this saturation here,
That's how much water saturated that visual area.
and that bubbling.
Keep in
of-
mind too, in some of these patio doors and patios, they're not all done like construction defect type issues, because like Las Vegas, we've had quite a few issues out there where the patio, like the master patio, it slopes the wrong way, and so the closet, their closet is right there, so that closet gets saturated and has mold in it. But again, how many times it doesn't rain? So a lot of times people are not deciphering this or seeing it until after they've moved out, because now all their stuff's out of the way, right? Personal belongings block a lot of access to view and to make a determination on what's really going on. So I will say, more than a home inspector, we do, like in those bathroom sinks and underneath the kitchen sinks, we are moving things to see if there's prior saturation and how much the levels are.
In my own home, my children have very bad asthma, we have lung issues. So multiple times when the kids were little, after repeated trips to the emergency room and having RSV and having bronchitis that turned into pneumonia, we have taken every mattress out, we have done all the filters, we have cleaned every filter in the house, we have put in HEPA filters, you know, never once did I think about water from a closet or underneath the ground. Now, I don't, now thinking back, that wasn't that way because we had replaced carpet and things.
Right.
We have a bathroom adjacent to a carpet that was adjacent to the bedroom, but I never thought about that. And we've spent hundreds of hours and lots of money and heartache trying to figure out what was causing respiratory problems and why the flu stayed flying. So it's, you know, it never.
Carpet is a huge thing when we talk about people that are susceptible to allergies, asthma, you know, just have respiratory issues in general, and now with the mold, if that comes into play, that's just one more thing, but.
I mean, we literally thrown away all the mattresses, bought new ones, wrapped them in plastic, done all this stuff, didn't occur to me that it could be mold.
Indoor air quality is a big thing, I mean, it just, but again, the majority of the time, indoor air quality is managed by, carpet cleaning, if no carpet at all, that would be the goal, but obviously not everybody's under that same belief, but carpet is a huge trapper, and then your HVAC system is your player in the field when we talk about indoor air quality.
And new carpet as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got a question over here.
Are there any appliances on the market that you can run in your house that would detect it in the air before it's seen?
No, but this is what I wanna tell you about mold, you mean?
Yeah.
So this is what I wanna tell you about mold. Typically, mold within the residential space is as a result of a water damage situation. When it comes to the surface, if like, a prime example would be like under the bathroom sink. If it's happening on that back wall and you are continually opening those drawers, you're aerolizing it, if you will, because it's already to the surface. And that area, I don't know if you saw the picture before where there's actual, the mold, it gets fuzzy, like I said, like a dandelion. So when the air hits it, it has the potential to
So
aerolize.
it's not helpful, it's spreading.
Correct, it can, but that's how it looks up close. And when you have some aerolization, you're gonna have it sometimes have that. If it was in a closet with things in there and nobody saw it, nobody was the wiser, probably not airborne. But, yeah, so that, and when it's open to the elements, that's why containment is huge when we talk about remediation and what has to happen as an end result. If they're not doing it properly, typically what happens is when they have the handyman go in there, they have somebody that's not containing the area, and when I say containment, I mean a full zipper in, zipper out. Do we have a picture of that we can show them? We're gonna skip around a little bit, but a full remediation this is what it kind of exists of, if you will. It's the assessment from the remediation company to determine how far and wide they need to encompass. And then it's the containment and the cleaning. And typically they take all your products out of the kitchen, if it's in the kitchen, and they remove whatever's in the cabinets, and so that they know that the environment that they're now working in is just what they have to do. They have to remove the cabinets and everything within the containment, package it, and then take it out. They have an exit
I
way.
represented the seller and this happened in the last
Yeah.
12 hours before we were supposed to.
I've seen that happen
Total
too.
nightmare, right?
Something
Who
comes
pays
up.
for it and
Yeah.
who pays for the initial
It's true.
inspection, who pays for the remediation,
Right.
and came out of the commissions, and it was a
Yep.
big disaster.
It can be, and that's why I'm saying a lot of these come up
It was
last
just the
minute.
sink, like underneath the kitchen.
Right, exactly. I'll show you what that looks like after, but, so, go back just a second. I just wanna talk about, removal of the affected areas.
Got a question right
I'm sorry.
Really quickly,
Uh-huh.
as far as prep work, when you have an occupied home,
Mhm.
what kind of prep work is needed? Or does your team do all the removal from
So,
cabinets?
so let's just talk about that for a second. When we talk about remediation and mold testing, we are separate. It is a conflict of interest for me to go in there and do the testing and also do the remediation, so conflict
On
of
the
interest.
testing side, I'm sorry, like if you wanna go into, to test a home,
Uh-huh.
will you or your team move furniture and things like that, or does?
It depends on where it is, like underneath the sink, definitely, I would be moving things to be able to view and assess, and then if I'm doing any testing there, it depends on what kind of testing. Now, like under the kitchen sink, sometimes I drill a hole in the base and get that sample so I don't have to disturb anything, or the back wall. If the back wall has been damaged by water and it's now dry, but I see all the markings, then I'm gonna drill in the hole and take a sample of what's behind there, if there's no visual that I can actually swab.
Okay.
So, so that's about as extensive as we do as actual testing. And then, so this is considered a remediation, but again, zipper in, zipper out, like asbestos, that's the guideline for, again, IICRC is a remediation company that typically you'll see this type of a containment. So they follow the whole process. I'm just kind of outlining what they do, but they remove all the affected areas, they clean up and do the sanitation, they do air filtration and the restoration of everything else, and getting rid of all the damaged product. And then this will be what it looks like inside when I go and test. This is how detailed they are, because other things create environmental change when we're going in there to test. So they wanna be sure that the work that they did, and this happened to be all up underneath the sink. But that's why you can't see the cabinets. So all of that underneath the sink is gone, you can see it there. So they had to do all of the back wall, remove the dishwasher, that was the initial source. And so problematic part is that sometimes you can't replace those cabinets with something that's already there, right? So when this happens after the fact, now you have to consider not only the testing, the remediation, and then the putback, right? So that could be a costly thing for somebody to deal with after they've purchased the home and moved in. So the problem is that who do you think they're gonna call when they have this problem? They're gonna call you because you sold them the home, even though you were just facilitating the transaction, right? They
So,
had a
Mark,
home
what do
inspector
you
and they
do?
had.
So if it wasn't on the SRPD and it's, I mean, how does that work, right? As the listing agent, what?
So if a buyer can prove the seller had prior knowledge, then they can sue them for trouble damages. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they'd have to prove that they had prior knowledge.
Is
That's the
that,
tough part.
is that, are we in the middle of that as a
Could
listing
be,
agent?
you know, if it's something that we should have seen, then, yeah, we
But if
could
we
be.
saw it.
But if they signed, whether the SRPD didn't, like in that case, didn't say anything.
Well, and you gotta remember too, a lot of rental properties, all of your owners say they have no knowledge, right?
Exactly.
And
so
they
that-
don't, and they're not lying.
They're not there, but they have property management, and they have people that know.
Yeah, they do.
And here's the thing, prior insurance claims, people don't think about that. So if that comes up and there's an issue, that's
Right.
another way that they get nailed, right?
So are you supposed to?
A landlord could have knowledge though, because if they wrote a check to a plumber
Sure.
because there was a leak, you know,
So
they
in a
have
lawsuit,
knowledge.
they would discover that, they would find
Well,
out
and
that
that's
you
the,
wrote a check to a plumber.
unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
what happens when somebody's
Yeah.
going backwards, they're
They
gonna
will.
call you, they're gonna call the home inspector, and they're gonna call whoever else was involved
They're
in what was
definitely calling
going
an
on.
insurance company, right?
Well, here's the issue I wanna talk about with insurance too. I have heard there are agents out there that will say, oh, as soon as you get in there, you just file a home insurance claim and they'll take care of that, okay?
Yeah.
Same thing with home warranty. A lot of people sell that aspect on home warranty, and I'm here to tell you, the first thing they're gonna say is it's pre-existing. They're not gonna pay, and now the owner's gonna be even more mad. I have dealt with all that headache and heartache because I'm in the middle of it now. I've tested, I've validated, and I'm now recommending all of this
So
happen.
never tell a client, oh, home
No.
warranty.
I have a
oh,
question for
insurance
Mark.
will take care of it.
Mark, what is your opinion on, people waiving the fungal inspection when they submit their
now.
offer?
I always recommend that, all the inspections I recommend.
Yes, and that's what I do too.
Let it be their decision, not yours.
Exactly, because they're waiving the right to have that, so the seller could come back and say, you know what, you waived that right, I don't need to
True.
give you access.
And at this point, after hearing this,
Right.
I'm going to make sure in my email that I have confirmed that they are waiving the right, because this would be a
I've
disaster.
never waived the
It,
right.
like I said, I've dealt with that headache and
Disaster.
heartache, because then it becomes like, it's
Oh my
not
God.
just $1,000, it becomes more like $5,000 in a heartbeat. And
Or
so,
more.
especially
Or
because
more.
they're following the
Yeah.
path of destruction, if it had gone on
Yes.
for a long time and
Yes.
somebody just covered it up. And you know as well as I do, a lot of people are inclined to say, let me just call my handyman,
Right.
and he'll come out here, and then that just brings up another point. So several times, the handyman has been there, they've not removed all of the damaged materials, all they did was remove the base of the kitchen sink, right? So I go in there, and part of my job as post-remediation validation is verifying the work was done and done in a workmanlike manner, right? So that if I'm gonna sign off on a clear mold test, even if I'm testing, usually what happens with handyman is that when I go in there, it's still in the air because they didn't use their proper filtration system, meaning the air scrubber, they didn't do the proper wipe down, they didn't contain it. So now I'm doing air quality because that's the way we validate for the purpose of clearance is air quality. Our cylinders cover, again, 800 to 1,000 square feet. If it's in the air, now that just means it's cross-contaminated. It's in your vents, it's in your carpet, it's cycling within the home because again, people don't open doors and windows. So when we make our recommendation, now it involves cleaning the HVAC coils, cleaning the carpet, and then doing a complete like hard surface wipe down, if you will, and then we have to retest. So now again, it's more money, right? So again, the headache and the heartache that comes from that type of thing is what my concern is, because nobody wants to deal with it after the
If you're
fact.
my kind of personality, you feel terrible, you're like, okay, I'll just help you.
Well, it's
Right,
time
so
and
next thing
money,
you know, like,
yeah.
you're giving them money for, because I feel terrible, and like, but from now on, I'm not gonna feel terrible, I'm gonna go through and say.
You have to think about that.
You have had you have never had a water leak, a water issue, correct, right? And make sure, cause they probably don't even recognize.
Well,
They
and
may not
sellers, I mean,
realize
you know,
as a
like
seller.
the one I just did recently, the line, it was the water line behind the refrigerator, and the reality is, nobody picked it up, but the person that bought it wanted new kitchen cabinets, and they wanted a new vanity.
And that's how.
And when in the bathroom, so the primary bathroom, the vanity was pulled out, this wall and this wall completely covered with mold. And then in the kitchen, because it was a water line, they actually painted the wall. So I know that they did some repair because there's fresh paint in this one section of the wall behind the refrigerator. But when the baseboards are removed, you got solid black. And then when they moved the cabinets to the left side of the refrigerator, which again, probably nobody would have moved those, but because they were getting new cabinetry, they're now
So
dealing
it
with.
behooves us as a seller's agent to make sure that you let them know that, to think long and hard about whether they've had any water damage and what the
True,
consequences.
especially in an older home.
You know,
Obviously, we don't see that as much in the new homes, but I will tell you with new construction, we get those calls a year after or 6 months after they've been there. Sometimes when they set those shower pans, they don't set them right. And then guess what? Water's coming from the master shower to the kitchen.
You know, there are times when you ask them that question, they know in their head they did, and they know that the handyman came and fixed it,
Right.
and they know they thought they took care of it because they painted it.
Right.
And they
And it
think
looked
that and it looks great, and nobody's gonna say anything,
Right.
and no, don't ask, don't tell,
Right.
and nobody's for the
That's
worst
exactly
wear.
what
And you know that happens, right?
Yeah.
And then you feel like, well,
It's
you
true.
told me that it wasn't.
When they hang pictures and now that the pipes are all plastic.
Good
They-
call.
Yes,
Yes.
there's so many,
Well-
I just tell my clients, you need to be aware of where you're hanging your pictures.
Right,
Use
right,
the-
right.
Use the command strips,
Right.
because the new homes are built with those plastic
Yeah.
pipes, pinhole, you
Yeah.
don't know what's happening.
It happens
And the other-
more than you know.
I'm gonna step in on this one. The other thing too is those air gaps, sewer air gaps go all the way to the roof. We've seen it too, come into a house, you smell this sewer odor coming through. What they did, they put a nail in the wall and it hit the air gap pipe. And it cracked it, so you have the sewer line coming down. Good point on that one,
It
yes.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually purchased a home one time that the water, behind the washer, it had a pinhole in the pipe. So every time they use the washer, all that happening behind the wall, right? So again, home inspections do pick up those kind of things, but then
They're
it's
not
the
using
proper.
the washer during the home inspection.
Well, it wasn't even that. I think he just happened to do his due diligence and look behind the washer and had it infrared, and he picked up the moisture and then looked a little closer, and it's already to the surface, right? Because it's been happening for so long. But
Another question right over there.
okay,
Do you know, do they offer the Clear Report here in Nevada?
for
For water, for insurance, like, we could order a Clear Report for our clients and it would tell if that property had ever had a water damage claim.
somebody has access to that because I've heard some
We use
other.
them in California, so.
Yeah, so a
There's
Clear
gotta be a
Report
way.
will tell if there's been, not necessarily if there's been a leak, but if there's been a claim.
Claim.
So they do them here?
yeah.
Yeah, so when your buyer starts shopping for insurance and they nail a company that they want, you could ask them, could you please do a Clear Report on the
Yep.
property? You have to pay for it.
It's like $20, I think, or you said.
Sometimes it's worth that to establish that prior history, right? Because we're not always getting the real story, if you will. So it's unfortunate.
And
but it
then you
happens.
always, on the buyer's standpoint, right, would let you want a receipt, right, that shows
Right.
that a licensed person.
Well, and
so
same thing
an
when you-
handyman isn't always.
Try,
that's
but
not
true,
necessarily
and the
everything.
same thing when you see it on the SRPD, my first point is, do you have the remediation paperwork? Because trust me, when the remediation was done right, they have those same pictures I do, right? They track what they did, what they cut out, what the damages were. So they'll have their complete estimate, including pictures, and then most of them that, like IICRC again, most of the IICRC will not complete that job without their final clearance for their own liability, right? They will not do it. So we have a few but a few companies that we deal with that we're on their go-to just for the purpose of post-remediation clearance. We may not see it from the beginning, but we see it at the end for the purpose of clearance
So
only.
when we're trying to pitch to people why we deserve a 3% commission, this is the kind of stuff you have to say, as a seller's agent, as a
Mhm.
buyer's agent. These are things that I'm going to help you navigate, and you will,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because
And then
things
just,
that
yeah.
Other people may not even notice, and I didn't even know before today, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information we have, and again, we're here for education and
I want
safety.
4% commission now.
That's awesome.
I'm
want
just gonna go ahead and wrap this up real quick.
Thank you so much.
Cause we've learned a whole lot, it just gives you an idea what to look for.
Yeah.
We're gonna hand our cards out and everything else too, so it's a place to give us a call. But to let you know, if a home inspector, I was a home inspector for a master, I trained other home inspectors, who uses home inspectors?
Everybody.
Everybody should, exactly, but they don't pick up everything, and that's just where you come in too. But if you got a home inspector, does mold testing or whatever, make sure they have, we have $1 million liability, general liability, and workers' comp. Make sure you get a copy of this, it's so important. There's a lot of mold testers out there that say they can do it, they can't get insurance. And they're not really professional, so make sure they see all of it, you have a copy of all this.
And
So
there's some inspectors that say, this is out of my scope.
Gotcha.
Yet you need further
Good deal.
evaluation.
And Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but a moisture test is not a mold test.
Right, correctly, yes.
I'll text you back.
All that does, even, a lot of people use the infrared, they don't know how to use it. Home inspectors don't know how to use it because they'll pick up missing insulation and call it wet. We've been out there on several of them.
You said $1 million liability and what?
Oh, yeah, we got $1 million liability in workers' comp, take a look at that.
Okay, yeah, no, I will ask.
That's where, it's
Oh,
very
just-
important.
Just another side note, we are affiliated with NARPM for any property management, and then with LVR, we do their classes, we do speaking at those events for that very reason, to just try to keep people educated. Just know that I will always take a look at a picture, a look at a home inspection. I don't have to go out there necessarily unless I can't figure out from the pictures. Unfortunately, home inspectors are not that good at that type of thing.
And if you have any other questions, give us a call. We're on the same team. We want you guys to win, and your buyers to win.
We are winning.
That's what we want to be, we're on the
Today,
same.
we are all winning for being here. Thank you.
There you go, all
This
right.
is awesome.
Good meeting, thank you.
Oh, thank you, all right, thank you.
So, you know, as I always say, you know, we educate you guys so that you can go out there and educate your buyers and sellers, so, really good, thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
And team, it was awesome.
Beautiful office here.
Thank you. Remember, no matter how you slice it, greatness is a choice, let's go out there and be great.
Thank you.